Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. And the other day I was stopped by the Amazon, do a little exploring, looking for new tools in the wild to see what I could discover. And Amazon suggestions apparently think I am into stubby tools and small tools because they suggested some that I hadn't seen before. And I thought that's kind of neat. That, you know, where would that come into play as far as my tool use? And the one that caught my eye was a basically an adjustable wrench, kind of like this one, but only about this long right here. Still had pretty wide jaws, but this long. And I thought that's kind of cool. And then I found there were smaller ones with, you know, real stubby kinds of handles and little odds and ends. And then I looked at the price of the one that caught my eye, and it was like $53 for a stubby little wide jaw adjustable wrench. And I thought that's outrageous. I mean, if it said Snap-on, of course I'd buy it and wouldn't look back. But since it didn't say Snap-on, you know, I was hesitant on the price. And I thought, well, you know, stubby tools to me are kind of hit and miss. But if I could get the proportions right, I could buy something like this Channel Lock Code Blue adjustable wrench and just cut it myself and make my own for a lot less than the $53 that were online, or that Amazon was asking. And so once I went down that rabbit hole, I thought, you know, I'm just going to try something here, see what happens. And so what I did is I went out to one of my local kind of pawn shops or secondhand stores that carries lots of tools and picked up a handful for a song. And then I grabbed my bench grinder and went outside and basically did this. There we go. So what I did is I got a handful of tools and cut them. I made my own mini tools just to see, to kind of explore how easy and useful the tool might become if it's in a smaller form factor. And I spent $10 on all of these tools. Some of them were nice. I mean, this was a Williams. This guy here, and I kind of hated to do that. It was a nice wrench. But I was curious, you know, what would happen. Played with some smaller ones, like here's a little, I tried it with two different adjustable wrenches, primarily because that's where I started. What about a small hammer? You know, is that going to work? Is it convenient? I took a larger screwdriver and made my own stubby handle. You know, just held it up and looked where I could cut it. Sometimes things like this, I used like one finger. This was a kind of a cheap ratchet. And I thought, well, I need at least one finger on it. I could use, you know, I'm into the spinners. Kind of like this gear wrench one that I did a review on, or a unboxing. And I thought, well, that's probably where I'll cut it and try it. Did it with this with a couple of ratchets. Here's a 1/4 inch, here's a 3/8 inch. Just to see. I found that in this case it actually fits better, especially the 3/8 in this configuration versus in this configuration. You know, like you would normally move up or choke up on the ratchet handle, instead holding it this way so I can actually keep a handle on it, plus get a little bit of leverage. I tried it with some of the different wrenches, just to see if there was anything really useful here. So, what did I discover? Well, I'm going to start with the adjustable wrenches, since that's what kind of launched me on this crusade to cut up tools and see. And I thought it actually, I think, does have a lot of value. It's kind of like a spinner, only in a adjustable wrench form. But then I thought, you know, how much can I actually do with this thing? So I got a torque wrench here. this little snap-on guy. And if I grab this and see, you know, can I... Okay, I can click it. Not too bad. What am I on here? I'm on about 60. These are inch pounds, by the way. So let me crank it up. I'll take it on up to, oh, what do we got here? Back off. Here's about 110, close enough. 110 inch pounds. Slide that on. Okay, that's about the limit. I can hold on to this at 110 inch pounds. Hurts, but it's doable. The smaller one here, if I grab this, I'm not going to come anywhere close. And in fact, I know from exploring this already that I'm going to have to take it on down probably about to that 60 again with the smaller one. So they're pretty close. There. That's it. And it hurts pretty good. I might be able to get 70 out of it. 70 inch pounds. It's hard. So they have value. They'd be good for holding nuts maybe while you're working on, you know, with a screwdriver or a ratchet on the other side. There's value in that. I wouldn't pay $53. I have no more desire to get one beyond this. I will end up polishing these up. These are pretty crude. But it was interesting. You know, I learned something. This seemed on the surface, I thought this is actually great. I have a large plier head on a very small set of handles, and it just feels actually pretty good in the hand. It surprised me. I mean, this is how much I cut off. So you can see, I don't know whichever side that was, how big these were, these Globe Masters. And I thought, this is kind of neat. And, you know, I was grabbing things and thought, it's got to have some use. But then, when I put it on the torque wrench, I couldn't barely do anything with them. I can't hold them. They start spreading almost immediately, and they hurt like crazy. And I thought, well, if I change the profile of this and flattened it out, maybe I could get something. But literally, the leverage, if you look at the pivot, it's not too far off center, which means all the force here, or the force on this end, is equal to the force on this end. So there's no way I can hold them very tight any more than I can spin this with my own fingers. So this one wasn't a success. In order to get that kind of leverage, you really have to have like 4 or 5 times at least the distance between the fulcrum and the grabbing part versus the effort out here on the lever. Anyway, what else did I learn? I learned that these are useless. You can't do much of anything with these. You know, when I've tried them on a couple of bolts, I was, you know, playing around with these, and you can't really hang on. There's no benefit I could find to using these. And in fact, they got worse the smaller they went. So as I went down in size, they were just pretty much useless. You've got to have enough of a handle. I explored different lengths to have any value. What would I do with these? Well, if I had certain jobs I was doing over and over again, I might try to customize, you know, the bare minimum of a tool, but in most cases, it wasn't really all that helpful. Something I want to point out at this stage is I cut up some different kinds of metal. You can see this says China here. This says China. This is USA. This one here is Japan. And I have a Taiwan here. So I cut up the different metals. I used just a Milwaukee. This is just a standard M18 grinder, angle grinder, and I put this Diablo. It's kind of it's 4-inch metal cutoff wheel, so it zipped through most of them pretty fine, or pretty quick. However, obviously the USA steel in this form was pretty tough. This one and the Japan were probably the two toughest steels. Now, it's a little hard to tell because of the size difference, you know, how much I had to actually cut through, but it was noticeable here. This one was like butter, this Chinese one, and took very little effort to slice through this thing. I didn't notice a whole lot of degradation with the wheel. The Taiwan one came in more than China, but less than the USA made ones. And you know, if you're CP the Tool Addict, if you're listening, you know, I know you talk about Taiwanese tools in Taiwan. This kind of almost scared me. I thought, boy, it can look like a wrench, a good wrench, but when you start working with the steel, no way, not even close. And just the way that the blade behaved, I'll have to get a snap-on and cut that up. I almost did. I'll get to that in a sec. But this one was whatever this thing was, this Globemaster. I don't know if it was USA. I should find the handles and look. This one actually really put up a fight. This guy here, where'd the handles go? Here's one. Japan. That's right. I guess I do remember that from when I started playing with it. So Japanese steel on these Globemasters. This was really tough. The wood put up no fight whatsoever. And I found this does have some use, I think maybe with a little smaller head, because this can get in the way right here. But it also, I don't know, I could see if you were working with something and wanted some protection, but kind of interesting if you needed a hammer to fit in a very small spot. Couple of other things. I did pick up this, this is a Husky Pro, and it's a 10 and 11 millimeter. You can't have enough 10s. And I thought, well, what if I have a ratchet? Will that make, you know, a difference over something like this, which I often cut more to retain the size than to actually decide where my fingers would go. But unfortunately, this side doesn't work. Something's wrong with it. And I was about to cut it up and thought, oh, this will give me an option to go out to, you know, the big box and see how their warranty works with this Husky Pro. So I'll let you know on that in the future. I also picked up this snap-on here. And I wasn't planning on cutting it. Instead, it has another purpose. Almost exactly 1 year ago from today, CP the Tool Addict actually had a video on the Mac, what are they called? The pocket pry bars, I believe. And I kind of wanted one. It was basically a screwdriver, kind of, let me show you, in the form somewhere between these two. It was like a screwdriver, but it actually had more of a pry bar head on it, but small. So if you could imagine, you know, maybe a pry bar this size, you know, this is the smallest of the snap-ons, but if I could get down even smaller, that's what I wanted. Well, most of the snap-on screwdriver shafts are round, and I found one of the old vintage square ones, and I thought that looks like a pry bar. Maybe I'll try that as a pry bar. And then I thought maybe I'll even try to make a pry bar out of this, grind it down, bend it. So that's my next project, to create that pry bar. Now this is close in size to the handles on the Mac pry bars. And by the way, I did go to the Mac website when I first saw CP's video. The pocket pry bars were sold out. Like 6 months later, I checked back. They did have them in. I almost ordered them, but I think shipping or something stopped me. And then I thought maybe I just will build one and see what happens. But the Mac pry bars contain these pocket clips, and I don't really need a pocket clip because the pocket clips, I end up usually just breaking them off. And CP had also talked about, you know, the magnet would be nice inside the little pry bar. I haven't thought about melting a hole and putting a neodymium magnet in, but that's for later. Anyway, so my next project, after pawn shopping these things, is I'm going to get on the grinder and bend this and turn it into what I think is going to be my favorite mini pocket pry bar. So that was my excursion into these small tools. And I think, oh, I could show you these, I forgot. If I throw a wrench here, did I show you this? I can't remember, but anyway, I can actually get a what am I on here, 70, 80. These are a little bit lower. I think I can get to about 50 with one of these. Yeah, probably about 60 using this. Ouch, that hurts, but I can do it. You can hear it. So 60 inch-pounds for this, considerably less for the 1/4 inch. I think on this guy, oh no, we're not even close on that. But let me show you a comparison here. So I'll drop this way down. Here I'm at 40. I can pull off a 40 inch-pound here. But if I throw this on snap-ons, here's that 3/8 mini one I made. No problem whatsoever. And let's crank this guy up. Torque wrenches are guys, I guess. Here's about 120 somewhere. No problem whatsoever. Let's go a little higher here. We're at about somewhere in there is around 140. That's about my limit with this. But way better, unbelievably better. So, next to free or $100, your choice. But boy, this one performs so much better than just cutting off a handle. But anyway, enough food for thought. And I will get back to you on my custom-made pry bar here. So with that, Doc out.